Got the most recent example is ATI Government Solutions, which is a technology services company apparently, that improperly, maybe fraudulently claimed ownership, Native American ownership, to get 8A status, and has been exposed now for acting as a pass-through organization to take unfair advantage of this program. These things are happening. We're seeing these reports proliferate, and we don't have an inspector general at SBA. So I guess maybe my question should be, given what you just said a moment ago, I mean, do you think it's time that we get an inspector general at SBA so that we're able to address these allegations and reports of fraud? Let me just start, if I could, by asking a little bit about rural businesses. This is something that I talked to the administrator about when she was here for her confirmation hearings. I was sort of surprised, fairly stunned actually, to see these numbers. The Biden administration's SBA spent in FY24 alone, out of 103,000 loans, only 12,500 of them went to rural businesses, 12%. Of the $56 billion in capital last fiscal year, $6 billion went to rural businesses. That's less than 11%. My state is majority rural. We have many, many small businesses throughout the state that are located in rural areas. And obviously, I think a key function of the Small Business Administration is to protect and promote rural businesses. So let me just ask, what role rather does your office, the Office of Advocacy, play in promoting rural small businesses?
Thank you for your question. And we know from a lot of our analysis and visiting in person, small businesses are especially prominent in rural areas. And as I committed in my nomination hearing, and I have done in person, is to go out and visit. Go where they are. Don't ask them to come to Washington. Go visit them. We even had an instance a month or two ago where it was such a remote area that my regional advocate took a mule for the last couple of miles. And we're really going to great lengths to hear from, in that case it was ranchers, and the ranchers were thrilled that we were listening, and they were thrilled with the results that we're getting, and we came back to President Trump's team and to start to improve some of that poor policy in the rural areas.
What steps do you think can Congress take to ensure SBA prioritizes rural areas and rural businesses? Any recommendations you might have?
Maybe I'd like to meet with my staff and get back to you. That's a serious ask, and I don't want to have a glib answer to that. Certainly there is room, lots of room, because a lot of our policies have not treated the rural areas well.
Yep, understood. And I agree with that. And I want to point out that programs like the 7A loans, the 504 Certified Development Company loans, disaster recovery assistance, these kind of programs are absolutely vital to rural America in general and to rural businesses in particular. And they need support and advocacy from your office and across the agency. Let me just ask you for a second while I've got you here, my remaining times. Let's go back to talk a little bit about SBA's 8A program. You're familiar with the 8A program, Dr. Mulligan?
That Kelly Loeffler, that's her area. Now, any regulation that she puts out, because she's subject to the Regulatory Flexibility Act, I would review and, again, hear from the small businesses and comment on that. So I'm familiar with it from that perspective, but I'm not involved in making the 8A rules.
Well, I guess my question is this. I mean, the 8A has been back in the news recently for reports of all kinds of corruption and waste of taxpayer dollars. You've got the most recent example is ATI Government Solutions, which is a technology services company apparently, that improperly, maybe fraudulently claimed ownership, Native American ownership, to get 8A status, and has been exposed now for acting as a pass-through organization to take unfair advantage of this program. These things are happening. We're seeing these reports proliferate, and we don't have an inspector general at SBA. So I guess maybe my question should be, given what you just said a moment ago, I mean, do you think it's time that we get an inspector general at SBA so that we're able to address these allegations and reports of fraud?
Thank you for your question. As I've been frustrated in that Senate confirmation process on how long it took, it shouldn't take that long. And you're right, it's taking way too long for the SBA Inspector General.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you, Madam Chair.